clouded mind, lovesick blind. Why do I climb these heights to you? Twisted muse always gets my shit confused. What's a man have to prove? Do I have to walk the night for you? wayward mind, lovesick blind. Why do I climb these heights for you? Twisted muse always gets my shit confused. What's a man have to prove? Do I have to walk the night for you? Every mountain I've climbed, there's a valley low. For every highway I ride, there's a rocky road. She's got me beat, she's got me broken, right down to my soul. Drunk and young, I asked to walk you home, but an aloof response had me on my own without you. I stumble on all alone with DMVs. Where are you gone? On repeat in my dome so blue. She's got me beat, she's got me broken.
We got to put all the wires in.
There we go, up and going. Is it going, Les? Because those colors aren't moving.
The mic's moving fine.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Try
Awesome.
this again.
Thank you for your patience,
Chester
folks.
says the sound is on.
Lovely.
Yeah, we
Thanks,
had no
Chester.
wires go from the board to the computer. Oh, well.
Yeah. That sound guy just
That
Right.
guy we keep wanting to hire, he
Yeah.
hasn't shown up yet.
shows up a
That
half
guy.
hour early and
Right?
Takes off.
all right. Well, welcome everyone, Armchair Chirpers. We're just going to kind of rewind a little bit here with the opening of our episode tonight. We got Brian Hawley with us, and yeah, we definitely wanted to give a shout out for Reboot Repair, Stratford's best computer support and services, personalized IT solutions, hardware, software repairs, on site for home and business services. They look forward to having a little conversation with you. I just also wanted to mention that they are celebrating 1 year of being open in their bricks and mortar at 155 Erie Street. We wanted to be the first to congratulate them on their successes for first year. As I mentioned, I was talking to Dylan Saturday night, and him and Cam are feeling really good about things. So
That's
they're
great.
happy with their first full calendar year. So big congrats, guys.
Fantastic. The two of them, two of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And they're just not only lifesavers for us and our routine, but now helping you, Halser, and just good guys that we're so glad to have a little bit of association, or a lot of bit of association with them.
They just want to see everybody succeed.
Exactly.
Which is great.
Yeah.
You know.
It's
Dylan is my
refreshing.
own personal Jesus.
So
Yeah.
we were talking at the Irish game Saturday night, and somebody said, "Who's coming back on?" I said, "Well, I think last minute Larry, but he's not really last minute Larry anymore." So now they want to call you one-liner Hawley.
I don't know who that is. I hear. Who are we talking about? Josh, the trainer.
Adams. Yeah,
Josh Adams. I want to
Yeah,
shout out
yeah.
to Josh Adams, because nice to know in this life I have at least one fan.
He said, "Yeah," I said, because he asked me who was coming on the bus there Saturday. I said, "Oh, I don't know, probably Hawley though." He goes, "Oh, great, I love him." What do
You got
got?
two, Holly. I'm a big fan. I'm
Oh,
glad you're
thanks.
here.
I
Glad you're here.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
If you're a fan, send money to this address.
Yeah.
E-transfer is
Yeah.
accepted.
Juan Soto at hotmail.com.
Yeah. It's interesting sidebar that since we've been on the air, Juan Soto's made about $5,000.
Right?
That's right.
Big money for Soto.
Yeah.
Yikes.
We also just wanted to shout out to our great friend Ian Denemy. He had his book launch at Stratford last Friday night. He was very generous to invite Les Razor and I to actually sit on stage with him and have a bit of dialogue about the book and the idea behind it. And of course, he's an excellent storyteller. So we were very honored to be a part of that. Great crowd.
It was. I'd never been in the bunker before, and they've got a bar there, and his family and a bunch of friends, even the mayor, John Kastner. There was just some great faces that.
If Kastner's there, it's an event, right?
Exactly. Wow.
And there must be free drinks.
I don't even think he had
No,
one.
I don't think so. He wasn't there
had-
that long.
He had to.
He was off to the cottage.
He was. He came to say hello, and then he was in his car off to the cottage.
One of my favorite people, Cash. You should have him on sometime.
He's going to be on.
gonna
Your
be
wish will be granted.
Right.
He's going to be coming on.
Yeah.
I don't want to say he's important, but one of the last games I was ever attending at a World Junior game, I looked up behind me into the private box, and there's Kastner sitting with Trechak.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sitting with Trechak. He just didn't see Trechak at a game. He sat and watched the hockey game with him.
Well, he's
So-
just such a knowledgeable guy. Like, if you ever get a chance to sit with John, please do, because I'm telling you, whether it's baseball, hockey, I haven't talked to him a whole lot about football or anything, but man, oh man, baseball and
You
hockey.
can hardly get that far because he's been commissioner of the IBL.
Yep.
And he chaired Hockey Canada for
Yeah.
a period of time.
And he's still the chairman of the board for the OHA, I think it is.
Could be.
It's either the OHA or the OHM or the OMHA.
Yeah.
One of those two.
Yeah.
I think
Just-
one special point with him too is just the people that you talk about him like us very passionately.
Yep.
Everybody loves him. He's a lovable guy.
Yep.
Wealth of knowledge. Will take the time, have a conversation with you, and I just think that goes a long ways. A Stratfordite, born and raised, just retired from the general manager of the Stratford Museum, and he completely
turned around.
He
100.
completely turned it into something of a viable resource to the city, and looked outside the box of where the business plan was for that building. So, John, if you're listening, kudos to you, and it was really nice to see you again Friday night.
Yeah, it was great.
Can't wait to have him on. We'll talk about why he's going to be on probably next month sometime. But really looking forward to sitting down and sharing stories with John.
That'll be must-see TV for sure.
Absolutely, it's going to be big. Like we are super pumped to talk a little bit about it later. What's coming down the pipe, but man, oh man, it is really going to start off 2025 with a lot of conversation, and it's going to be really fun to hear people's opinions and ideas. So we're really looking forward to that.
All right.
Where do you want to start?
Well, why don't we just start with the big elephant in the room? The green box went to Juan Soto from the New York Mets.
Yeah.
15 years, nothing deferred. So he is not the Bobby Bonilla.
Refreshing. They're
Nothing
actually paying him.
deferred. Yep.
Yeah,
But-
I couldn't wear my Yankees hat today. Just he's a nobody to me now. So
He's dead to me.
On to the
yeah,
next.
that's right.
Well, listen, and it's either going to be Hawley or me going to tear at you. But
Oh yeah,
with that being said, it's probably the first time that's happened where the Mets have taken away one of your emperors. Now,
absolutely.
to put your shoe on the other foot, Mets fans had to suffer through, I don't know, Doc Gooden pitching a no-hitter, Darryl Strawberry winning championships for the Yankees.
Right.
So,
Yes.
is this a passing of the torch, Hawley? Will you say what?
Well, and here's what's new. That the Yankees aren't the big dog on the street anymore.
Yeah.
Approximate valuation of the Steinbrenner family is $1.6 billion. That's a number that is hardly conceivable for us pagans.
Right.
Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, has an estimated value of about $21.5 billion. So, in other words, he could sneeze, and the snot coming out of his nose is worth more than Steinbrenner. Okay? That's putting it about as bluntly as I can right there. And he made it pretty clear to everybody, kind of like if you want to make an analogy, it happened last Saturday night with me at the rink. I was making a bid on Cooper Leach's jersey,
Right.
and I knew the guy down there that was bidding against me, and I just yelled down, I said, stop. because I want that jersey and I'm going to pay for it. And Cohn is yelling the same thing to Steinbrenner, saying,
Right.
I'm going to take your right fielder, so stop bidding because
Right.
I'm taking him.
Right.
Whatever you say, I'm going to say more. So just leave it alone.
Yeah.
And that is something that has not happened in the history of this league all the way back 100 years to Babe Ruth, where the Yankees have been the big dog on the street financially, and they've never been outbid like they have been. They were just stomped on.
Yeah.
And that, in and of itself, is as much news as the actual signing was, in my opinion, anyways.
Right.
I mean, I don't begrudge the numbers that Soto got. He got market value. He's
Yeah.
a generational talent.
Yeah.
$51 million a year, and then after 5 years in a weird opt-out clause where he can opt out, but the Mets can void the opt-out by adding another $4 million per annum. So his AAV is going to end up being somewhere in between 55 and 56, making the total value of the contract somewhere just north of $800 million.
Crazy.
And so I did a little math, and I realized that
Whoa.
today I can do math. I got, I took my shoes and socks off, and I realized that today, as soon as the ink dries on that contract, today alone, Juan Soto makes $140,000. And every day for the rest of his life until the year 2040, Juan Soto will make at least $140,000. It's going to take me a couple of years to make that much money. I
Right.
can tell you. He does it every damn day.
Yeah.
He will be paid somewhere in just north of $315,000 per game.
One of the most incredible analogies that I was reading today, because obviously that was the number one feed blowing up everything, was, you look at Tom Brady and LeBron James, two goats of their era. Well, I wouldn't
their
say
era.
LeBron.
Anyways.
Yeah, exactly. But if you take Tom Brady's career earnings and LeBron's career earnings, it is less than what Soto just signed for. It was mind-boggling, the amount of dollars that the Mets threw at this guy, and he caught lightning in a bottle.
And this isn't a generational comparison like they did with Tiger and Jack.
Right.
Because Tiger made more in 1 year than Jack made in his whole career.
Yeah.
These are guys that are playing.
Right.
Like Brady just retired second or third time 2 years ago.
Right.
LeBron's still playing.
Yeah.
And they're making ridiculous money in the
Right.
NBA right now.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel. So, like I said, at the end of the day, I don't begrudge him the money he makes because it's market value. My issue is the same issue that I've had for a long time now. And how on earth are teams going to compete with this? Because I did a little more math, okay? Last year, the Mets paid just north of $310 million for their team salary. Okay, the high point for their, you can't call it a cap, it's their, when you start
luxury.
paying a tax,
It's
the
a
luxury
luxury, yeah.
tax.
Yeah.
So when you add on, now they're taking some money off that, so the numbers aren't exact here because Alonso's coming off, and they traded Max Scherzer last year.
And Verlander.
Exactly. So what I can tell you is that they're adding another $51 million. So the average team salary last year in the major leagues was $166 million. So the Mets are paying their team double that.
Right.
The Mets payroll is more than the bottom four teams combined.
Yeah.
They are paying him $51 million, which is only $15 million left that Oakland pays their whole damn team. But where does it stop?
Right.
Even a team like Toronto, who were a top 10 payroll,
Yeah.
you're looking at a whole bunch of teams right now who can never have, and I mean never, have sustained success. You can have a really good draft class of 2 or 3 years,
Right.
add in a couple of free agents, have a 2 or 3 year championship window. But when you're competing with the Dodgers and the Mets and the Yankees even still,
Yeah.
they have windows that are never closing.
Yeah.
They may as well just take the windows right off the big hole in the
100%.
house, man. That's the
Yeah.
big difference now, is that these teams will always have their competitive window open, but everybody else will go through stretches. The days of rebuild in teams like the Dodgers and the Mets are done.
Yeah.
They're done.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that's a sustainable thing for a sport. I really don't.
Well said. Like for the Dodgers to even be in the conversation was surprising from the get-go, like with Ohtani and all the other guys that they have there. But, geez Louise.
Because the Mets didn't just sign Soto. You understand? They signed Clay Holmes.
Yep.
They took Clay Holmes from the Yankees as well. They're paying him almost $20 million a year. They signed Frankie Montas, another starter. They're paying him almost $20 million a year. So they've added already. It's not even Christmas, and they've added another. They were the top salary team last year, and they've added another $100 million annually already. In their off season.
But they have to, because they have to win.
Well, they were in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, but they have to win now.
So at the end of the day, I mean, this is just the world's most expensive toy.
Yeah.
That's really what it's boiled down to.
Yeah.
Steve Cohen has made a Major League Baseball franchise his own personal toy.
Yeah.
Here's
Crazy.
just something fun to think about. Jeff Pearlman, the former Sports Illustrated writer for 25 years, he was on TikTok today and talking about what would, in a modern day, minus the steroids, minus everything, what do you think a baseball player like Barry Bonds would command? Now, keep in mind, Soto, you can pitch to. Ohtani, you can pitch to. I think it'd be fair to say with the Tony Gwynn discipline that Barry Bonds had, if you go inside, he can get you. If you go outside, he can get you. If you go down the plate, good luck to you. You know, and you think about Buck Showalter in 98 when he was managing the Diamondbacks, walked Bonds with the bases loaded to go around Bonds.
Unheard of.
So it was a really great kind of conversation to think about with a guy like Barry Bonds, because arguably, you know, plus, you know, he had the Tony Gwynn discipline at the plate, and he had the Mantle Babe Ruth power to put it over the fence.
Right.
So, you know, let's not really get into the fielding he displayed when, you know, the steroids got a hold of him, but the complete player that he was as a batter, let's say, for instance. I think that's ultimately what they're signing Soto for. Soto's great. Bonds is legendary.
Right. And Soto's only, 26?
Well, that's the
I think
thing
it's
is
like
that he's
24.
already had a Hall of Fame career,
Yeah.
and he's not even 30 yet.
He'll go to the Hall of Fame and
Who,
Bonds.
Soto?
7 years.
Yeah.
Soto's 24.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
they signed him out of the Dominican. I think he was 16.
Washington.
Yep.
And then he won a championship in 18 or 19.
19
with
with
Washington.
Washington. Yeah.
When they were loaded up with their pitching with Strasburg and Scherzer.
But would it be out of context to think that Bonds, and coulda, shoulda, woulda, I get, we're just having some fun with this conversation.
Yeah, he's 26.
$1 billion.
Well, I
For
see your
Bonds.
point. There's two things. Number one, all the athletes are better now than they were then. And that is not sports specific. That's just reality.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, too, is that are you going to evaluate Bonds above Ohtani, who is not only your three hitter, but also could potentially be a starter for you, or I'm guessing next year a closer?
Do
Because
you think he'll pitch? I don't think he'll pitch
next year.
again. You think
yeah,
so?
he'll pitch
Ohtani?
next
He'll
year.
pitch next year.
I
He'll-
don't know.
He'll pitch until his arm falls off, and then he'll
Alright.
just hit, and he'll still be worth what they're,
Right.
he'll still be one of the most valuable guys in baseball.
Just the merchandise that they sell off of him.
Well, and that was, and all the commercials, the ads. All
It's
that
interesting you
stuff.
say that, though, Razor, because I did dig up the top selling jerseys, and he doesn't make the top 10, Ohtani.
Really?
Is that a U.S. based one? Because I know just
This
about
is-
every
this is
Japanese
world.
kid
Yeah,
above
international.
This is international.
Yeah.
Wow.
Michael
Okay.
Jordan, Lionel Messi, Ronaldo, LeBron James, Tom Brady, Derek Jeter, Kobe Bryant, Neymar Jr., Sidney Crosby, Patrick Mahomes.
Wow.
That's an international list that I got. So, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, you're if you're talking Michael Jordan numbers, that's $1 billion industry in itself, the Jordan brand, right? So,
Yeah.
that he changed everything. He made the game
Yeah.
worldwide.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
but
So I certainly see your point. When Bonds, this is the thing, is that when Bonds was at his best and clean, he was a 30-30 guy
right.
and a very good outfielder. Soto, I think, is a 30-30 guy and a very good outfielder.
Yeah.
But Ohtani's a 50-50 guy. So
Yeah.
I'm not 100% convinced that Bonds would make more than Ohtani.
They were
It's
saying,
a,
though,
like I say, it's a fun conversation.
It is
to have,
absolutely,
right?
and so that would be my response.
That's an interesting perspective.
the one thing that I thought was interesting, like after Ohtani signed and we were all looking at numbers and doing research, they said that Ohtani's 50-50 season was like obviously no one had ever done 50-50, but they said like the other statistics that he had that year was like Bonds' 12th best season. Like it was ridiculous how good Barry Bonds was
100%.
for so long.
But all the Bonds' top producing seasons were enhanced.
Yes.
Okay,
Or
so
allegedly
fair, but
enhanced.
just
fair.
But when he
All
was
that
in the
aside,
90s, when he was with Pittsburgh, and that's really what I want to focus on, because in my mind, I loved watching him play baseball, and it was a time when a Jays fan was watching intently, because we're talking about the early 90s when the Jays were doing their thing.
Yep.
And while the Jays were playing their playoff series against teams like Minnesota and Oakland, Pittsburgh was in the NLCS seemingly annually against the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
And in one of the best series you will ever see in your lifetime was the 7-gamer that ended in a walk-off with Atlanta, Sid Bream streaking home from second base on a ground ball that
And
the backup
Bonds-
catcher hit. He hits a ground ball to left field, and
Yep.
Sid Bream, their first baseman, with the bum knee, limping around,
Yep.
looking like the Penguin when he's coming around third base, and slides in just safe. And Sean McDonough with the insane call. I thought he was going to have a stroke when he called it. That was such fantastic baseball to watch. And Bonds was a catalyst. Bonds, Bonilla, and Andy Van Slyke, one of the best outfields of all time.
And it's interesting, too, when we talked about the Golden Bat last week.
right.
That's why I don't want the Golden Bat. Because here we are, 25 years later, 30 years later from that game you're talking about. And you're talking about the backup catcher making an unbelievable
I
clutch
think his
hit.
name was Cabrera, Francisco Cabrera,
Cabrera.
maybe.
And that would be my
Yeah.
reason why I wouldn't want to see the Golden Bat. And you weren't adamant about it. Just a question,
quickly,
right?
like we were talking last.
That's just. I mean,
It
that's
was-
as gimmicky as.
Well, that was
100%.
Manfred.
What's
just-
stupider than
just
that?
coming
Maybe a
up with
shootout
something.
in the NHL.
Well, it was.
Are you listening,
Right.
Gary?
Right.
He does,
But it
too.
was-
We'll get a call for
Oh
sure.
yeah, we'll get a call.
Nice.
Get Hawley off the show.
I got to give Manfred credit, right? Like he's starting a conversation. Now, will it happen? Not likely, but it sure as heck starts a conversation where with the Golden Bat, for those that haven't heard about it, I don't know if you've been sleeping under a rock, but Rob Manfred was on a podcast last week talking about the possibility of using this Golden Bat rule where at one time, and there was different variations, but the gist of it was if you had a situation where you wanted your best hitter to go up to bat, it didn't matter if he had already hit that inning, you could send him up to bat again. And he just wanted to start a conversation. It was interesting when he asked Freddie Freeman what he thought about it. And Freeman said, well, why don't we just play the regular way for the first 7 innings, and then we'll just have a home run derby for the 8th and 9th
And
innings.
that'd be something you'd say, right?
I actually, the first thing that came to my mind was every single time that the opposition used a golden at bat player, I would hit him.
Yeah.
I would plunk him. And
I
I wouldn't
never
care if
even
it cost
thought
me the
about
game.
that.
I'm that much of a dick that I would hit that guy, and
Or
I would tell the
automatically walk
manager,
him.
if you bring in a golden at bat, I'm gonna plunk him. I'm throwing
Yeah.
at his head.
Interesting.
I like it, Holly.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
Like
it.
I
I
said,
never even thought
I'm
of
a
that.
bit of a
hopefully,
dick, but I'm a
hopefully
bit of a dick. So,
well,
you know,
hopefully the
that's-
bases aren't loaded.
I
though.
haven't heard that. So
It's
up
one
to you.
game. It's one game of 162. I'll piss one away just to make a point. 100%. Wouldn't be the first time.
Watch
Now,
this.
now the thing is
Yep.
that
Hold my beer, son.
you know, there's been a lot of changes. Let's face it, because it wasn't that long ago where it was only 4 teams that made the playoffs.
Yep.
There was no DH in the
Wasn't that long ago when
National
only
League.
2 teams made the playoffs, frankly.
Wasn't
Right.
that long ago that you didn't have a starting second base runner in extra innings?
Yeah, and so like there's been a few changes, but that was definitely pushing the envelope. But
Yeah, that's as gimmicky as it gets.
I don't think we'll ever see it, but
it started a conversation.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So, what about our local boy Jacob Middleton on Spit and Chicklets? That was a great thing to see there on Wednesday with him being on with Biz and
He
Whit.
is quickly becoming a figure of the league. You don't just make it on Spitting Chicklets because you're a player in the NHL. There's lots of great players, but
Leading the league in plus minus,
Unreal.
Jacob
which is
Middleton,
an
Stratford,
extremely
Ontario product.
important statistic.
Yeah.
Like the Minnesota Wild are the biggest team that flies under the radar that most people don't talk about.
They're going to start to be hard to ignore. Right now, they're tied with Washington and Winnipeg for first overall in the
Yeah.
NHL. Again, I know we're at the quarter pole,
Right.
and I get that. But did you have that in your book at the start of the year? Watch out for Minnesota.
And Washington.
No, and neither Washington
And
neither.
our favorite team, the Jets.
And of course the Jets. So,
Jeez.
so the
Who
Jets
are the Jets?
Well, that's just the thing is that I'm wondering now. Maybe the Jets are thinking, well, this ain't fair. We go out 14-0 starts, and you guys go, who are the Jets? Minnesota's playing hot for 10 minutes, and everybody fawns over them. So, in fairness, that you could ask the same question of the Wild that you ask of the Jets. Who are they really?
Yeah.
But I got to be honest with you, the Kaprizov kid.
Kaprizov, yeah.
Yeah.
Kirill Kaprizov.
He's gone under my radar.
Yeah.
And I went, well, what's he doing? And then I looked and went, whoa, he scored 40 goals last year.
What's he
Right.
not doing?
Yeah.
When did he do that?
It's
How
im-
did he do that after I went to bed? Because
Right.
he
It's
must have scored all the goals after I went to bed.
We like to
because-
think we have a pulse on the majority of what's going on in the NHL, and all of us have poker faces with Kaprizov.
Yeah.
Is it Kaprizov?
Yeah, Kaprizov.
Kaprizov. Okay. I had no idea.
Yeah.
No
he-
idea.
Nope, just flew right under my radar.
He's the
Yeah.
quietest superstar in the league.
Well, he's playing in Minnesota, right?
Exactly.
Small market.
Non-media, and you just they don't get into Toronto.
play at
a whole
wacky
lot.
times.
Yep.
No.
They're what are they, Mountain? I think they're
They're an hour behind
Central.
us.
They're an
no,
hour
they're
behind.
central.
Central.
They're
They're
just
central.
below Winnipeg.
Yeah, but just
If he played in the East, everybody.
if he
would be
played
all
for the
over him.
Rangers, he'd be a top 5 guy popularity wise.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
then you get yourself traded to Anaheim if you play
Then
for
you
the Rangers.
for
Yeah.
nobody.
even with a contract that has
And being
all
being
the
the captain.
stipulations.
Yeah.
But it's just good to see Mitzi, talking on Spittin' Chicklets, bantering with Biz and Whit.
It was a little bit of banter. It was actually more about just his career and his journey. So many things I didn't know, I didn't hear about. He talked about his terrible first camp with the Cudas when he was basically on his way back to this area to lay brick where he had worked as a young chap. His agent got him a tryout with the Cudas, and they just treated him like awful.
Really?
And he'll tell the story. I don't want to give it away, but Spittin' Chicklets and Jake Middleton's on it, and it's just a nice 20-minute, 25-minute chapter. But don't get me wrong, they have some fun, but
Sure,
a lot of it is
sure.
about Jacob and his journey. The fact he was 210th pick overall in the 2014 draft, last by the Kings, released, really understanding that it might not happen, and here he is.
NHL's version of Mr. Irrelevant.
And they,
Well, the thing that I honestly think about, and I don't want to get too carried away with this, but this is like movie material.
Right.
Like I know it won't, but it's like talk about an underdog making it and absolutely embracing opportunity. He's had to work for everything he has, and I just don't think that there's anything anyone can say about talk about putting in the work. It's incredible.
Yeah.
and his legendary dressing room attire.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember seeing it. A couple of years ago, I was helping build the Pinnacle Fieldhouse here in town, and the first summer that we set up the hockey side of it, both Middleton brothers showed up. Jacob and his brother
Keaton.
Keaton. Thank
Yeah,
you. Sorry,
yeah.
Keaton. Now, I've known Jacob, I think I've said before in the show, I've known Jacob since he was valedictorian in junior high. He's born about 2 weeks before my youngest son. So
Okay.
they went to school together all the way through. And I saw him and Keaton come in and just putting in the work.
Yeah.
And there's just it's about a 30 or 40 foot long, almost end of the rink, about 30 feet wide, and they're just shooting into the net, shooting into the net, shooting into the net, and they just shot and shot and shot and shot and they must have shot 1,000 shots to the point where they're shooting the puck so hard, the pickleballers way over on the other side of the building are saying, "Could you get them to keep that down?" And I went, "Nope, No, those are NHL players shooting at net. You know,
Right.
and they don't always hit the net. Sometimes they hit the boards, the glass. When they hit the crossbar, the whole thing would echo across.
Yeah.
And we've done the shout out to him as well, but Keaton as well is having himself a great little career in for the farm team for Colorado, and big brute.
Big dudes, man. Both of them.
6'5", 6'6", 240 pounds, and that's all that needs to be said about Mr. Keaton. Like he's a big deal in the AHL, and you know what? It's a great league, and just really happy for those two, especially for the amount of work that it takes to get where they are.
Yeah, super nice guys. I got to know them a little bit going into CrossFit. They were working out there when I was going there, and I'd be playing ping pong with Greg DeVries before classes would start at 8, and the two of them would be working out, and then they would take boxing lessons from one of the guys that was at CrossFit, and they were just dedicated to their craft, and I think that they were actually... don't quote me, but they may have been going to their bricklaying jobs after they were done working.
They were
working out.
So he was saying it. You know what? You got to listen to the interview, but he talks exactly about that.
Yep.
Because Biz even said, he goes, "Did I read this right?" He goes, "Yeah, 6 in the morning."
Yep.
The bricklaying company that they worked for let them show up about 8:30 because they get their training in, lay bricks all day, and do the same thing at night before they go to bed.
Yeah.
And
Dedication.
I mean, that's what it takes.
Dedication.
That's what it takes, and it's like I say, and it won't be the last time that we bring up mids, but
Well, there's a
it's a great
lesson
story.
there to all young athletes that, you can't control if someone is more talented than you are, but you can control whether someone outworks you.
Yeah.
100.
And somebody's doing it right now. Doesn't matter what time of the day or night, somebody's doing it right now. So you better get your ass out there. If you want to be one of those guys, you better get your ass out there.
It's not about making the team and wearing the jacket. It's about putting the work in when you're in amateur hockey.
Exactly.
If you have aspirations.
Yep. And
right?
I got to see it firsthand with my own son.
100%.
And people ask me, what's your secret? What'd you do? And I'm like, my secret. I'll tell you my secret. It's him. The athlete either has it or he doesn't have it.
Right.
And that's an inner engine that gets your ass out of bed
Yep.
or out of the house or into the gym every day, whatever it takes. He used to put signs up on the roof of his bedroom to motivate him.
Right.
So that the first thing he sees when he opens his eyes up in the morning is he sees that.
Right.
No gain without sacrifice
Yeah.
was one. No pain, no gain. And whatever it was right up there in the ceiling of his bedroom. So the first thing
Yeah.
he saw when he opened up his eyes, boom. And I love telling the story about when he was with CrossFit. And we were in Milton at the time. And just outside of Milton, there's a ski hill called Kelso.
Yep.
Kind of halfway between Guelph. And you can see it if you're going on the 401 when
past
you're
Guelph
between
line.
Guelph and Milton. Well, there's a crazy dude that runs the CrossFit up there. His name's George Savard. He's a Toronto firefighter. He's about 6'8". He used to play offensive line for the Ottawa Rough Riders. That's
Oh,
how
wow.
far back he goes. 6'8", has about 20-inch arms. And he always jokes about them, too. You don't want to know what I did to get those arms. Actually, I kind of do, but maybe I don't. Their job every Friday morning was to go to that Kelso ski hill and run the hill. They'd run a quarter up, walk down, run halfway up, walk down, run 3/4 of the way up, and so on, to the point where George brought a hat, a cap, an old crappy baseball cap, and he called it the puke hat. And the first one to puke had to wear that hat the rest of the workout.
Oh, jeez.
And just for listeners that don't know, it's a ski hill that requires you to get on a ski lift to get to the top. It's not just a little bunny hill.
It's
No,
a
it's-
huge
It's-
incline.
Yeah, it's huge.
And you have to run up that on the ground. Oh, man, those guys are nuts.
I heard
And-
about people like that.
And there was one morning that he was up, he was up in the night sick. He was up at 2:00. He was up at 4:30 being sick, and then went to bed. And I said, "Shut your alarm off, sleep in." He got up at 5:30 and he went and ran those hills after being up all night sick. That's what it takes. That's the kind of commitment that it takes to be a successful athlete.
Yeah.
You either have it or you don't.
And it never stops.
Right.
Exactly.
All right.
Yes.
Well, just a little bit on Jacob Trouba. I just wanted to know your guys' thoughts on this. We talked about it a bit on Saturday. So you talked about it last year, Razor. They wanted him out of there. I think Chris Drury as GM is a mess. We'll get into that. But he had a no-trade clause. He had a $9 million contract. He was a captain of the New York Rangers. And they literally just made a fool of him.
Yep.
And the thing that I want to say about that is I would expect something to be said from the NHLPA because they're going to want to protect their players better than that. It was embarrassing how he got exited out of
Well, it was a trade, and then it wasn't a trade.
all sorts of
Well, first they were going to put him on waivers on Friday is what was going to happen.
which is wrong.
Yeah, they were going
Right.
to put him on waivers, and then they got this deal with Anaheim because Anaheim took 100% of the salary. And that's what the biggest thing. He had a 9-team no-trade clause. Well, 6 of those teams could afford his whole salary. Everybody else couldn't, so it didn't matter. Everybody else that wasn't on the list couldn't afford his salary anyways.
Rumor has it that they had a deal set with Columbus, and he nixed that.
Yeah.
And then that's when Drury went to him and said, look, we're going to put you on waivers. You've got a limited no-trade clause, but we're going to put you on waivers, and then you got to go wherever the hell you get picked up. Or we've got this other trade with Anaheim. What do you think? He had a gun to his head, right? But that's your captain, like you said, Jeff. That's your captain.
Yeah.
And the reason why you have no trade clauses is to be able to pick and choose where you want to go. The Rangers agreed to that.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't force them to do that. They willfully agreed to it when they went out and signed him. But the problem is that the optics are just terrible for any other free agents that want to come to New York. Well,
Right.
is Chris Drury an honorable guy?
No. And I don't think so, in my opinion. And something that I always appreciate about Lou Lamoriello in New York is he's never signed a no-trade clause for any player that he's signed. For so many reasons. He goes, if you're not playing well for us, you're gone. If it doesn't work, you're gone. If you need that for whatever reason, you're not going to play for my hockey team.
Yeah.
And let's just say, his portfolio looks pretty good with all the rings that he gets
Right.
to wear.
Yeah, fair enough. But it's going to be interesting to see where that all ends up. Rumor has it that Treliving had inquired about Trouba, but like we had talked about before, Toronto's up against the wall with Cap.
And that's a shame because that's exactly the kind of guy that,
If
at least
Trouba came to Toronto,
least on
holy
paper.
juice.
And so somebody at my workplace suggested, oh, well, actually, it should be easy to make a trade. Just trade Tavares for him.
Well, you know what?
And I thought
His-
about that for a
his-
second. I went,
His stock has never been higher,
he's slowed down after that hot start, I
Yeah.
noticed,
but still, he's still a valuable commodity. And
that would balance out the budget.
yeah,
Yeah.
crazy.
You got what's going on?
What about Tom Wilson taking that clapper to the face and his face swelled up like he had been hit by a swarm of bees? And
By the looks of it, he went in, had a couple beers, came back out and netted a pair and player of the game.
unbelievable, unbelievable.
Scores 2 goals,
Yep.
and then does an interview after the game as well. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
Isn't he a
first time
beauty?
I've seen it,
Hockey
though.
players are the toughest men on the planet.
they really are.
he is the epitome of a hockey player. Like,
Yep. Remember Ian
100.
LaPerriere when he stepped face first in front of a slap
Oh.
shot in the Stanley Cup Finals? Oh,
Just
Well, I remember
unbelievable.
Campbell
Borje
for
Salming.
Boston blocking those pucks, broke his fibula or whatever. and,
yep.
Yeah.
Duncan Keith. Remember we got half his chicklets knocked out
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
came back in the next period?
Yeah.
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 A little bit of
Hockey-
scotch on the gums and away you go.
Unbelievable.
Hockey players are a different breed.
They are.
They really are. And Shesterkin signs for 8 years, $92 million, 11.5. So that's higher than Carey Price's 10.5.
And was that a bigger kick and square in the gonads after they traded Trouba?
Right
What, about
after it.
7 hours later, they signed Shesterkin?
Yeah.
Unreal. And Shesterkin,
Hey, Igor, here's all of Trouba's money.
and he's only 4 and now we all know he's a world-class goalie. He's got a career 920
But
save
you know what?
percentage.
When you have a guy, then you lock him up.
right? He's only 4 and 6 in his past 10 games.
There's probably 20 teams in the league out there going, man, if we had a guy like that, we'd lock his ass up too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So speaking of goaltending, we wanted to touch on Edmonton. Don't look now, but they're in the first wild card spot. They've been on a bit of a tear, 6-3-1 in their last 10, 15-10-2 on the season. Their goaltending, which we always seem to talk about as an issue, and I think that's fair.
Yeah.
In the last 5 games, they have a GAA of 2. So that gets you where you want to be pretty quick, too. I don't know if it's Skinner or who. I don't even know who the backup is. But for it being a huge question with that team, I think they're playing with a little bit different of a pedigree right now with a terrible start. And to think about the hole that they always dig themselves in the last 2 seasons. They're going to make the playoffs. They're gonna go on a run here. And obviously, goaltending isn't one of the issues right now.
I guess the only thing I'd say is I might change the word. I don't think they're going to go on a run. I think this is who they are.
Yeah.
I mean, after their lousy start, were they not one of, if not the best record in the NHL after their
the
crappy
beginning-
start?
this
When they
time of year.
changed coaches.
Yeah.
When they changed coaches.
When they brought in Knobloch.
Yeah.
When they brought in Knobloch, they were ostensibly had the best record in the NHL the rest of the way.
Yeah.
And ended up 1 game away from the Stanley Cup.
1 goal.
Boy, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this isn't a run. This is just them starting to take it seriously.
And this is an example too of, you look at a guy like Hyman who's just sputtering,
Yeah.
like just a skipping CD. Like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah, who'd have
not
thought he wouldn't have been on the roster?
for
Like
Canada.
at the end of
Yeah.
last year, you thought he was a lock.
Well,
for the
they had him on the
roster.
first
100.
line with McDavid and like either
And
McKinnon
anybody,
or Marner or
basically.
whoever.
Then,
Yeah.
then you hit the injuries, right? And sort of slow
Yep.
things down a
In
bit.
fairness,
Well, and that was interesting because, we had talked about some of the guys. Like, you could really make a second team Canada with the number of guys that they left.
You could,
off
but
the
you're
team.
still lacking in net.
right.
Yeah.
But
And that's
it's-
the biggest issue is going to be in net.
And when I think of that lesson, it's such a valid point. The thing that I really take comfort in is someone like Tim Taylor in his GM role, assistant GM role with the Blues, when he was here in the fall, and he said, would you rather have 4 solid lines of everything you need and weak goalies, or do you want a strong goalie? You're missing, out of your 6 defensemen or 8 defensemen, there's 3 that are iffy, and your 4th line is a little bit weak. Like, we have 4 lines that we're going to roll. We have 8D that are more than capable. They got some ridicule from some of the picks that Canada made, like Armstrong and his directors. But, I heard a lot about Cirelli, and I was saying to these guys, think of Cirelli and Marner on the power penalty kill.
It'll be great.
So Don Sweeney's the GM of the Four Nations team. He made the picks.
Oh,
Armstrong's the GM of the Olympic team, but he had a say in the picks.
yeah.
So-
But, I mean, there's a board that
Yeah.
picks them. It's not
Yeah,
just
but-
Sweeney.
And Sweeney
But,
came.
yeah.
Sweeney came out and said he pretty much said the same thing.
Yeah.
He said, "I'll take my defense ahead of the goaltending."
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you look at that American roster, it's
flawless. Literally,
scary.
literally flawless.
If you look at the non-competing Russian roster, yikes!
Okay. So, and
the
this is just.
goaltending for the Russians.
Oh,
Whoa.
But just having a conversation, and I'm not saying listen, I'm biased and I understand that. But I'm looking at, if you look at let's just say our first line power play, you're looking at McKinnon, McDavid, whoever else you want to throw in there. If you want it to be
Crosby.
Marner, Crosby, you got Cale Makar, you've got Devon Taves. So that's your first line power play. So are you, and I'm just asking out of conversation's sake, are you telling me that the 2 Kachuk brothers and Matthews are strong or as strong as McKinnon, McDavid, and Crosby? I'm just asking.
Well, what about Jack Hughes?
Jack Hughes.
He's just as strong as he's.
No, he's
Oh
not.
yes, he
Les.
is.
No,
he
he's
is
not.
too. 100%.
No.
I think one
No.
guy who's going to surprise everybody at this event is Jack Eichel.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's fair.
He just talk about a guy who flies under the radar.
Yeah.
But they're a different team. They might be the hottest team in the league right now.
Yeah.
And Jack Eichel is leading that team and has led them before to great things. Even, once he got back from that nasty neck injury of his.
Yeah.
No, I guess the only response I have to your point
Yeah.
is that it's not a question of, to me, it's not about whether I prefer this or that. It's like, do I like chocolate ice cream with or without the sprinkles? I love
Yeah.
them both.
Yeah.
But when we talk about depth, the other thing too is that when you talk about power plays, there probably won't be near as many in this event as there.
I'm talking even strength.
Yeah, well, you mentioned power plays.
Sorry, yeah. But yeah.
Even strength, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it gets down to that third set, and that's why I kind of thought a guy like a Jacob Middleton, not necessarily Middleton, maybe he doesn't skate well enough, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but maybe a more Brad Marshish kind of
Sure.
stay-at-home defensive guy
Right.
might have been a better pick for the bottom pairing for Team Canada,
Yeah.
or even a seventh defenseman to dress if need be. A guy that you want out there. I think of a Brent Seabrook.
Right.
I think it's probably the best example I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Wasn't an offensive stud.
Right.
But who's out there at the end of every game when Chicago's winning the Stanley Cup? It's Keith and Seabrook.
Yep.
Now, Keith got all the press, but Seabrook, was out
He
there
was
with him.
the co-pilot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
So I was a little surprised that they didn't go a little more off the board to round out the deep core. I mean, if you can't, if you remember 76 when it was, Bobby Orr and Larry Robinson and Guy Lapointe and Serge Savard, that's a all Hall of Fame defense in
Right.
76. And then again in 87 when you had Bork and Coffey, among others. They don't have that anymore, and that's surprising to me. And maybe everybody that can score, maybe there won't be another Ray Bork come along because they keep putting them up on forward.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but I always loved playing defense. If for no other reason, I got more ice.
Yeah.
And I had the puck on my stick a lot more than I did as a forward.
So last year putting Jack Hughes in with McDavid, McKinnon, Caliber.
Oh yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Wow.
I
Okay.
am. 100%. You think you're right all the time, but
He's a
you're
stud.
not here.
He's a stud.
All
Like
right.
Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Gunsel, Hughes, Kiter, Larkin, Matthews, JT Miller, Nelson, Kachuk,
No, I just
Trocheck.
asked about Hughes. You're putting them in with McDavid and McKinnon, caliber wise.
up there. Yep,
Okay.
he's
Just asking.
young gun coming.
All right.
Larkin's an interesting pick.
That was an interesting pick I found for the Americans.
I think he might
Jacob
be that guy.
Slavin.
I think Larkin takes that Sutter role.
Yep.
I think he's just he's a
Jacob
toolbox.
Slavin on the defense was
Yeah,
another
same with
surprise
Slavin.
one, but
Absolutely,
he's having
yeah.
a great year.
That's I really
Brock
like the
Faber.
U.S. team. Obviously, I think our team can win.
I hope our team can win. I'm just saying that the
this
American
is-
team is
And let's face
strong.
it, this is a precursor
Yeah.
to the ones that really matter. This is just
Right.
a kind of a, hey, we're not doing anything. Let's get everybody together and have an event. It'll be fun to watch. But I think at the end of the day, I don't think anybody's going to talk about this event in 20 years about where they were when somebody scored a goal.
Well, what I found was interesting is that they didn't reveal the name for obvious reasons, but they said that there was a guy who was so pissed off on Team Canada for not making the team that the way he reacted, it got back to the management for Team Canada, and they said the way he's acting, even if somebody gets hurt and can't play in the tournament, we are not taking him. We are not bringing him onto the team. Now, I think I have a pretty good idea who it is. And then there was names of other guys that chose, for whatever reason, not to go over to Czechoslovakia and represent Team Canada. There's some names that probably didn't get consideration because, hey, look at, like, everybody wants to have a break, right? But to wear that flag on the front of your jersey and go over there, and that's what I thought was great about Tavares.
Some
right?
guys didn't want it. I mean, when you're old, you have that memory, right?
Yeah.
There are some guys who just didn't want any part of it. There were a lot of times where Lemieux said no.
Yeah.
But
Gretzky played once.
Yeah.
Now, he was usually in the playoffs, but the year that the Kings when he was with Edmonton and L.A. knocked off Edmonton in the first round, he ended up packing his bags and went, I think it was Sweden, went over there and led the tournament and scoring over there. Like, that doesn't go unnoticed, right? You're sacrificing your summer to wear your country's flag, and some guys just get it and some guys don't. And so I don't blame them for taking the guys that show the dedication, and they get rewarded.
Yeah, we were talking about that with guys that said no to the World Championships last year and how that reflected on them this year. And somebody says, well, Crosby said no. And I said, well, Crosby has the right to say no.
He's earned that right.
He's been there any other time they've asked
right.
him.
Exactly.
You know, so he's earned the right
Yeah.
to say no.
But when you've got these
Andy's
younger
35.
guys,
Yes.
right? So I get it. Andy was he was looking for a contract, and so there's a lot of reasons. But how about the Leafs? They're on a 2-game skid. They lost to the Penguins there on Saturday. Now, 2 of the goals were empty netters, so 5-2 was really a 3-2 game with the 2 empty netters. But like we talked about before, Marner has just been lights out. 8 straight points in road games, 9 goals, 31 points in his last 20 games. Like, the guy is just on fire. He couldn't pick a better time to be in a contract year. But the things that people don't talk about enough is the signing of Chris Tanev. Like, other than Marner, he's got to be talked about, the team MVP through the first 25 games, because paired with Jake McCabe, he's become the go-to shutdown guy for the other team's best players. Usually playing against the top lines on the other team. He's only been scored on 4 times at 5-on-5 in 220-plus minutes when he's playing with McCabe. And he's only been scored on 11 times at even strength. Like, he has been an absolute wall, like just a lockdown, and he doesn't get enough credit.
Well, there was a lot of talk. People were saying he should be on the Four Nations Cup, and Toronto management's like, no, please.
No, they don't
let
want him.
Let him
there.
go sit on a beach.
Exactly.
Right?
And
Because that's the problem with Chris Tanev is the wear and tear.
exactly.
The season he gets the wear and tear, they build up, he gets the injuries,
Yep.
right? And you want that guy to stay as healthy as he can.
Absolutely. He has been such a crucial role in Toronto being where they are. Toronto's second in the NHL in goals against. The last time they were ranked this high was in '93 when Gilmore and the glory years were there. Pat Burns was the coach, and Felix Potvin was the goalie.
And that awesome, I loved that decor that they had. They didn't have any top 5 guys. They
Right.
just had a collection
Dave
of 6
Ellett.
Ellett, Rouse,
McCowan.
McCowan,
Jeez.
Jamie McCallum, that beard, that
yes.
mustache.
Gill.
Yep.
Todd Gill.
Who was the Russian kid? Mironov? Mironov, right?
Yeah, Mironov.
Yes. Yeah, just great glory days. Like, that was back in the day where everyone would talk at work or you were going to watch the game that night. Like, it was that much excitement.
That's when they raped Calgary for that big
Yeah,
10-player
that's huge.
trade.
With
Because
Gary Lehman.
Rouse and McCowan
Yes.
and Gilmore all came over in that trade.
Who was the GM for Calgary at that time? Do you remember?
Wasn't that
Well, it was Cliff Fletcher for Toronto.
I know that.
the loud?
but-
What was the loudmouth one?
Burke?
Yeah,
Yeah.
wasn't it Burke?
I don't know, but
No, he wasn't with.
yeah, I don't
Calgary.
think so because
was
he started with
Vancouver.
Yeah, but whoever the GM was, I'm sure Cliff Fletcher sent him a big bottle of scotch. Goes, get that India. Sent the offer over.
I've taken this out of the
Chester
revenue
sent-
from our 20 home dates in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, you look back
Doug
now.
Risebrow.
Doug Risebrow.
Oh, there you go. Strike 2.
Former
Crazy.
Canadians, eh? Can't
Yeah.
trust them.
Unbelievable. You mean like Team Canada?
Nope.
All right.
We should probably
Should
take
take
5,
a break, yeah. And before we do, we'll give notice to some of our sponsors. SBS Metals, metal fabrication with professional craftsmanship. Stratford's preferred custom commercial and residential metal fabricator, SBS Metals.
And our great friends at Domino's Pizza, unfortunately, they felt the wrath of the Fighting Irish win on Saturday night. They ended up handing out a bunch of free small 2-topping pizzas. Congratulations to the Irish. We will get into that later. They are our official pizza of the Armchair Chirpers. Get a free 3-item pizza if you go to our YouTube page and subscribe. Take a screenshot and come out to the Urban Barber for your coupon or Reboot Repair. 2 locations, Ontario Street and Huron Street in Stratford.
Joe's Diner, the official breakfast and lunch diner of the Armchair Chirpers, home of the world-famous number 4 Perth County, locally owned and operated by the Myers family. 2 locations, one here in Stratford and one on the main street in St. Mary's.
I would just like to extend a very happy birthday, belated happy birthday to Julie Myers. She was celebrating her birthday she was fortunate enough to have her sisters fly over for her birthday. So they've had a
Aw,
week of
nice.
festivities and stuff like that. So thinking of you, Julie, and yeah, great people.
Good stuff. All right.
All right.
Wayward mind, lovesick blind. Why do I climb these heights for you? Twisted muse always gets my shit confused. What's a man have to prove? Do I have to walk the night for you? Every mountain I've climbed, there's a valley low. For every highway I ride, there's a rocky road. She's got me beat, she's got me broken, right down to my soul. Drunk and young, I asked to walk you home, but an aloof response had me on my own without you. I stumble on, all alone, with DMVs. Where are you gone? On repeat in my dome, so blue. She's got me beat, she's got me broken, right down to my soul. She's got me beat, she's got me broken, right down to my soul. You pick me up, don't you know you got a hold on me? It brings me down in only ways that you can see. You keep me close, then you go ahead and run from me, and hit me up when you're lonesome and need company. Wayward mind, lost it blind. Why do I climb these heights for you? Every mountain I've climbed, there's a valley low.
Man.
So this will be our one and only break. So we will get into the rest
I'll
of
bring
our
that one up again.
very
Sorry.
kind sponsors. Janet Lange, 20-year broker, real estate agent in Stratford and surrounding area. She has coined the phrase, put the real in real estate, and she always takes a consideration of her clients first. The official armchair broker of the Armchair Chirpers.
Brighter Vision, providing compassionate and effective counseling services to individual and families in need. They provide a safe and supportive environment where everyone can heal and grow. Brighter Vision, counseling, psychology, and wellness.
Excellent. The Urban Barber, 155 Erie Street, full-service barber shop, appointment-based. We welcome you to go onto our Google page, our Facebook and Instagram. You will see a Book Now button, and it'll reveal our full schedule and availability. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Bentley's Bar, Inn, and Restaurant, the official bar and restaurant of the Armchair Chirpers. 20 draft beers on tap, daily food specials, a fabulous place to spend the night in their lofts or executive suite. locally owned and operated by the Bentley family. And one little shout out, rumor has it that our good friends Small Town Strip Club is playing there on Saturday, December 28th. I don't know.
Yeah, they did announce it actually.
Okay, so they're
Rumor has it.
right. They're gonna be there. So make sure you show up. No cover charge. Beers will be flowing, and come and see our local boys, Small Town Strip Club.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to give one more shout out, and I think it's garnered with appropriateness. Our friends Jay Ford, the Ford family, his sons Ben and
Jacob.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have their brand new pub open. Work. It's called
Fantastic.
Work.
Fantastic. I'm going to work.
Yeah, at 75 Wellington. It was the old.
Like
whatever.
father and
75.
son breakfast or
Old
whatever.
man
it was.
and son.
Yeah,
Yep.
son.
Yeah. And
So
yeah.
they had a great opening weekend. In fact, they weren't open till 5 today because they just had to collect themselves. But all of us here just wanted to give a big congratulations to the Ford family, and so happy to have you guys back. You're a pivotal, piece of this town.
100.
Great people, longtime supporters of Stratford Minor Baseball.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
100%. So tip of the cap to you guys, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they would host the annual taco night for Stratford Minor Baseball. We'd make 18 or 20, 2,000, 2,200 bucks in a night, and it was all because of Jay Ford and his family. So fantastic
Fantastic.
people,
Yeah.
wonderful people.
And happy retirement to his folks.
Yeah.
They were involved right till the end of the sale for the Ontario Street location, the Queen's Inn Boar's Head. Great people. They've been around for decades, and we wish you a happy retirement.
Yeah, they were great people to work for. I worked one summer there
Did you?
Nice.
at the Queens.
Nice.
Me and Jay.
What were the names again?
the
Sorry,
boys.
parents?
Barb and
Yeah, Mr. Ford.
yeah,
Right.
Mr. Ford. Yeah, nobody. It was always Mr. Ford.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Barb and Larry maybe. I'm not
Something
sure.
like that.
Jay's
I
dad.
don't. Jay's dad.
Jay's dad. Yeah.
We had hoot there. That's a wild place to work.
I hope
in
the
those
Wings
summers.
made their way over to work.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I hope so.
Oh,
100.
You haven't had a chance to see the menu. They've brought it all, and plus they've installed
Nice.
a few more what will be favorites of the menu. So
Yeah.
we're just really excited for you guys, and thought you deserved a shout out. So
Absolutely.
all right.
By the way,
Les?
we'll be around next week for a sponsorship deal.
yeah, yeah. Answer your text.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, Les.
All right, Junior B hockey on the weekend, showcase weekend in Caledonia. Woo, a lot of games, a lot of hockey played. We were there early Friday morning, 10:30 game.
But late.
It's
Did you? Right? You said that.
yeah,
Yeah.
the bus we got there a little later than we should have. Poor kids had to get off the bus, get in weighed, because they do this thing for all the scouting. They have a weigh-in. So
Oh,
you get
really?
weight and height and everything, right?
Wow.
So we were supposed to
Did
do it at
everybody
20
have to do that, or just the players?
Just the players.
Okay. All right.
So they were supposed to do it 20 after 9. We didn't get there till about
I'm gonna
20
drop
to
it right there.
20 after 8. We didn't get there till like almost quarter to 9 because we got through Woodstock and the
I was
weather
gonna
sort of
say,
picked
yeah.
up.
It's been no fun traveling anywhere
yeah.
this last week or two.
Yeah, so we played St. Catharines first in the Eastern Conference first game.
They're good.
They are good.
They're very good.
They played a sloppy game, and the Stratford Warriors followed them and played a sloppy game. Couldn't get themselves out of playing a sloppy game. Chase Furlong played great net.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really fault him on any of the goals. The second goal, the game-winning goal, it hit 4 sticks before it went up and over his head, not like up and in the top of net. It just bounced over his head and come right down the other side. I hadn't seen him play like that in a while, but
Les,
You
I think
know.
there's a consistency with something that I really want to point out is your observation of the goalie. Is it Furlong?
Furlong.
Furlong. For 3 weeks now, and I think he hasn't been with the team that much longer than 3 weeks since he came over. A little bit more,
Yeah, he's
but
7
what a
and 2
great.
now, so yeah,
Sorry.
7 and 2 now.
Okay,
so
so yeah, looks like they acquired quite a goalie.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they lost 3-1. There was everybody was asking me about the fight in the third period. I said, well, it really wasn't a fight. The St. Catharines player pretty much jumped Hudson Binder, and Binder wasn't. He's no little kid.
Right.
But he wasn't ready to fight this guy, and the fight's over, and Binder still got one glove on and everything, right? And he goes to the showers early. They did lose Hayden Frayne to upper body injury late in that game. So that sort of, makes you scramble. But the problem is they also had two guys doing exams. So Reese Brown and Carter McDougall weren't in the lineup because they had obligations for school
Right.
to do.
Well, and I think that's important
Yeah.
too. I remember on the program for decades, it was combining athletics with education. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
we have to remember that they are, teenagers, respectfully.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, they only lost 3-1, and one was an empty
Yeah.
netter
Yeah,
against
it was
one of the
2-1.
hottest teams
Yeah.
on the eastern side.
Yeah, St. Catharines is
So,
their big team.
yeah.
do they still have the
big.
shitty uniforms or
They look like pajamas.
They're ugly.
still?
1980s Vancouver Canucks jerseys and
dear.
puked it out,
Yeah,
and then they
they're-
decided to go with that.
They are still the white
Oh my
with the
god!
red pinstripes.
Yeah.
It's-
Brutal.
It's crazy.
They think it's traditional. It looks
Yeah.
terrible.
It looks like pajamas.
No,
Yeah.
just doing some research on St. Catharines, they've got a 92% penalty killing rate overall, 97% penalty killing rate on the road. So they get pumped up when they're on the road,
Yeah.
like to block
Wow.
shots, and like 97%. They've only been scored on twice in 59 chances. Like that is
Wow.
Yeah.
insane.
And I'll
So
tell you one thing about St. Catharines. They are not afraid to ice the puck. They must have done it 12 times in the first period alone.
Like
And-
blatant icing.
Blatant. Well, they're going for the long pass is what they're going
Okay.
for. They're
Okay.
trying to get the guy behind the defense with the long pass. And then other times, if they were in trouble on their own end, they're just icing it. They don't care. Because
Well, when you're
they
that
figure they
when
can
you're
win
that
it.
confident in your own zone,
Yep.
right? Like that's a nice luxury to have. Oh, we'll just ice it because we're so confident in our D and our goaltending that we don't have to worry too much about it. But
Yeah, they were a bit of a question mark because they're about the only top go team that I haven't seen live
Yeah.
in the building. And knowing that they've been on this, I believe it's a 10-game heater.
10
they're
game
on,
heater, yep.
just charged past air, who haven't exactly slumped, but they just cooled off to like 7-3 in their last 10, and St. Catharines just blew right past
So
them.
when you saw the game last, and I know that you're ultimately concentrating on the commentary, which
Yep.
I get.
Yep.
So it might make sense that you miss a bit of the game just because you're
You do,
calling.
yep.
But like, what did you see with St. Catharines? Like, obviously 3-1, it's 2-1 without an empty net.
Just the
so
pressure.
it just
Just constant
Like
pressure.
they were
and
constantly
hitting,
swarming and-
constant pressure and just getting the body on anybody. They didn't.
yeah,
They didn't care if it was their own guy. They were just hitting people.
yeah, okay.
I just like how Stratford matched up.
They
Like
did.
you said, it's a 2-1 game.
Yeah,
They're
and that's
missing
all it
guys
is.
for exams. Furlong played well. McDougall, played well the following day against Port
Well, he-
Colborne.
Yeah, that game is a completely different story from Friday because Stratford plays a bit okay in the first period. They get the lead. They went to the dressing room, and I don't think they came out of the dressing room because they had 2 shots in the second period. They didn't do much in the third. They woke up in the overtime. Hunter Nagy, I felt bad for him. He had 5 or 6 chances.
You got to see the highlight
yeah.
of this, man. This kid walked
Yeah.
in alone maybe 3 times in one shift in
Really?
overtime
And
and,
he-
couldn't score.
And he's cutting. So he's got 2 shots on the one side, and then he's got the puck, and he's coming around. Nobody on him. And the goalie for Port Colborne lays out with the stick. If he doesn't get the puck, it's in the back of the net. Like you can see Nagy just throwing his arms up in the air, right? So then Port Colborne goes the other way. This big Russian kid, and he's good.
I'm not going to remember
18
his
years
name, but
old.
he scored the tying goal.
Sarov. Yeah,
He
Sarov.
scored the tying goal in the third and then the overtime
The overtime winner, and it was a nice overtime winner. Like Carter McDougall in that game had 3 breakaways on him, and he stoned all 3 of them.
Nice.
He kept Stratford in that game.
Stratford's on a nice little roll.
They
man.
are.
Have
They
been
are a
for
nice
couple
little
of
roll.
weeks. Not getting the results that they're
No.
hoping
So
for,
when you-
but they
when-
still look really good.
Because when you look at them and you're going, oh my God, they had 2 losses on the weekend. Well, when you look at the big picture, though, they lose 3-2 in overtime on Saturday, and they lose 3-1 with 1 empty netter against the hottest team in the Eastern Conference, missing guys, for example. Like, I'm not making excuses. I'm just stating facts. I like where Stratford is. Like, even though they didn't get the W's, it was still
They
a good
competed.
measuring.
Yeah. They competed.
I asked
right?
Dave Schlitt before the Friday morning game. I said, "What do you do to get these kids going on an early morning game?" He says, Well, we've tried to make it the same as any other game. But he says the thing we stressed was you got to get out there and have a good 12, 13-minute warm-up hard.
Right.
He says because it's not bus legs that are hurting you now, it's morning legs. You know, these kids, of course, they did it when they were young, right? So we called it sort of like an old school. They're going old school because
old
they're playing
school
at 10
minor
o'clock.
hockey tournament game,
They're playing at
basically.
10 o'clock in the morning, right? But it's tough. And
It is.
I'm going to say it's the league did a really good job on the setup. Their scouts were like that Friday morning, and there was more scouts than there was fans or players or media.
Right.
Darren Stevenson sort of made a joke that the media might outnumber the fans as well.
Now, there was some blowback on the pricing, I heard.
There was, some fans didn't like the price. But
Why? How much was
Well,
it?
they offered only $20 for a day pass.
but there was a weekend pass.
And then there was like
$35
$5 for a weekend pass.
Yeah.
But the parents weren't happy with that
Yeah.
because now, you're
Because
asking.
they're paying. Yeah.
Yeah,
you're
I mean,
paying
yeah.
$70
It,
for a mom and dad.
it was always a sore spot for me to be a parent, knowing how much I'm paying just
Yeah.
so my kid can get on the ice,
Right.
and then you want me to pay to watch him play.
100%.
Right.
100%.
I get that, but conceptually, having said that, somebody's got to pay for the ice
Yeah.
Sure.
But
on
the
this thing.
The games that were played were great. Like there were some
There were,
upsets.
there were some. The thing is that there's probably more good teams in the West than the East, but you still got
It is,
8
yeah.
really good teams in the West and at least
4 good teams.
4 or 5 good teams in the East, and they're playing each other a lot. I mean, St. Mary's played
London Friday night, and
and then Ayr Saturday night.
Yep.
I mean, those are 2 tough matchups.
that
Yeah.
St. Mary's London game Friday night had all the makings of another barn burner.
Mm-hmm.
But the referee controlled it different than they did the previous Friday night in St. Mary's. When it got near the end of the game, the referee just, go to the dressing room.
Yep,
just,
threw guys out.
just
Okay.
go.
Wow.
Just go. We're not doing
Those
it.
are 2 teams that
Yeah.
do not
So
like
there
each
was
other.
a little bit of controversy on that winner too, the game winner. Some people were saying the net was off the moorings, and I saw the replay, and you can't really tell, but
It was a pretty goal, though.
yeah, it was a pretty goal.
Spagnolo falls down, drops his stick,
Yeah.
and still gets up and picks up his stick and maintains the 2-on-1 with Jaden Lee. And when those two guys come in, good luck with that.
Yeah.
But then Saturday night,
they ran into an air team that didn't play like an air team though.
well, the other thing with St. Mary's is they're finally getting some depth
Yeah.
scoring. Ryan Cornfield scored 2 goals this weekend, and they were not getting any scoring out of their bottom 6.
Because Ayer's in second, only 1 point behind St. Catharines.
And Ayr is one of my favorite teams to watch because they are similar to St. Catharines. They're similar to Listowel. They're big. Chatham is another one. They're big, they're quick, and they play mean.
So-
and
They
their
really
goaltending is solid.
Yeah,
So,
that Jovanovski kid's
Oh.
really good.
Jeremy Bartlett from Tavistock, he comes into the shop. His boy plays for the Centennials there. And I just said to him, because obviously they're making waves and they're doing really well. And I said, what is it? He goes, they just have these kids dialed into a mentality where there's so many things that you say, Hawley, that really make sense as things unravel and stuff like that. And one of the comments was they have them playing uncomfortably fast and aggressive. And now that you're, what are they, 20 games in?
They're halfway.
25.
Halfway, 25 games. They're used to it. They're used to it.
That's the thing. That's a Jeff Bradley special with St.
Yeah.
Mary's. Have them play at just an unconscionable pace.
Yeah.
So that if you think you're uncomfortable, how do you think the opposition feel having to play to
Right.
keep
Yeah.
up with you?
And I guess that's the message with Ayr, with my, I won't say inside source, but, a friend of mine that I talked to about it. They were just really disappointed that they had to go to the other side of the league, but they're really happy with their hockey team over there.
I think they'll like it long term because I think there's less competition. They're going to get I don't want to call it an easy out, but they're probably going to sweep their first round opponent. And then they're going to get one of Caledonia, St. Catharines, or Fort Erie in the second round.
Right.
And the way they play, the physical style they play, their coach, I got to be honest with you, and I don't mean this as an insult, but I think their coaches are nuts. I think the Ayr coaching staff they're so intense. I think they're crazy. But it rubs off on the team. And I watched them play Waterloo in the first round last year in a nasty, nasty series. I had a friend who was playing for Waterloo last year, and And so, seeing the highlights after game 3, I watched the last 3 games of that series, and I ended up in Ayr on a Thursday night watching a triple overtime game against Waterloo, and I tell you, it was just such good hockey. I really enjoy watching that Ayr team play. So to see St. Mary's beat them 3-0 with a complete victory, it was Housego getting the shot.
Well, it's a huge victory.
That's a big
Yeah.
especially with the slump they've been in.
Ayr added all the right kids too.
Yep.
Like they brought in a lot of experience, which was good to see.
So the top 5 teams in the East, you got St. Catharines in first with 41, Ayers in second at 40 points, Fort Erie's in third with 34, Port Colborne in fourth with 33, and then you got Caledonia fifth at 30. Over in the West, you've got St. Mary's with a 1-point lead. They got 39 points. They're in first. LaSalle's in second at 38, Stratford with 36, Listowel in fourth at 35, and Chatham in fifth with 34. Like, you can't get much tighter than that. No. You got 5 points separating the top 5 teams.
And you go all the way down to number 9, it's only 10 points.
Right.
And Waterloo's only 10 points out.
Yeah.
Elmira got upset this weekend. They were up 2-0.
They lost to
Pelham.
They
were up 2-0 on Pelham and ended up losing 6-3, but they look like a team that are going to do something in the second half of this season.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. Yeah,
oh, you never count them out.
It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
But also those standings, like by the time we finish this week, it could be totally flipped.
Yeah, take
For
a snapshot
sure.
of that because it could
Exactly.
be flipped next week.
Exactly.
So the top 5 power rankings, according to the GOHL website after 12 weeks, St. Catharines is 1, Ayr is number 2, Fort Erie is 3, Stratford is 4, and St. Mary's is 5. So they've got Stratford ahead of St. Mary's, which I found interesting.
Well, power rankings, it's not about how good you are.
That's
it's about
week to
how
week.
good
It's
you're
a
playing
week-
right
Yeah.
now.
And you got to think it's also based on the strength of your opponents. Like
Fair.
if you look at Stratford's opponents, like we still got, we're in LaSalle Wednesday night, and then we have St. Mary's at home Friday night.
You
So
got to
you
go
gotta-
back down to
gotta
LaSalle
go
on
back
Wednesday.
down to LaSalle on
Oh,
Wednesday.
Yeah.
God
So-
bless.
And
Get
then
it out of the way early,
yeah,
man.
And I was talking at work with Jeff Golsack. He's on the directors for the Lincolns. I was talking at work, and I said, you have to if Stratford can get through this month and stay up where they are, you got to like their schedule at the back end of the year.
right.
We're playing Waterloo 4 times. We still have games against Kamoka. We still have games against St. Thomas.
Right.
We don't see LaSalle again. We only see St. Mary's once more. We get Listowel a couple more times. But, our heavy schedule is now. And it's still scary. The games that
Well,
we
like I
still have
said,
to play LaSalle. We still have to play St. Mary's. Then LaSalle comes back to Stratford on the 20th. And then finally we play Waterloo for the first time on the 22nd of December.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's
And
crazy.
St. Mary's has been the same thing. They played Listowel. They played Listowel at home on a rare Thursday nighter.
Yep.
So in a 2-week span, they'll have played Listowel 3 times, London twice, Stratford, and Ayr.
Yep.
All in 3 weeks.
I don't know a lot, but I also think that Listowel is going to be that second half team that you got
Watch
to
out
watch
for Listowel, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Watch out.
And
Don't
the
say-
only thing is, so we go to LaSalle Wednesday night and then play St. Mary's Friday night. Well, St. Mary's gets Listowel Thursday night.
The
and
night
then
before.
Then play us Friday night, right? So it's the top teams playing the top teams. And we were talking about this showcase. Like the scheduler, you couldn't ask for anything better because it was all the top teams playing.
Well,
top
I
teams.
noticed
Yeah.
like there were games like Brantford against Caledon that
But this schedule was done before.
Exactly. So
You know.
I don't know whether that was good fortune or good planning, but some of the bottom feeder teams, St. Thomas played.
Well, maybe
Pelham.
they had to go, grab lunch and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Scouts.
everybody, you got to need somewhere to.
No
take a break,
disrespect
right?
to the St. Thomas Stars.
Well, folks, I don't know what you're doing on Friday the 13th, but if you're a hockey fan, you might want to get down to the Almond Arena. I don't know if it's going to be like the old
Do you
days.
think they'll be lined up out to New Orleans Pizza?
all the way up
for
the
tickets,
hill
or-
again? We were joking about that before, but man, oh man, like talk about
Get there early.
Exactly. It's going to be. Well, there's 2 reasons. A, you've got a great matchup with Stratford and St. Mary's,
Yep.
but you've also got Ian Denemy
Bring
with his
money.
book. Because I've had a lot of people text me, how do I get a book? How do I get a book? And I'm like, folks, come down to the Almond on Friday night because he's only got 300 books, and I know he's sold a
No,
bunch.
he doesn't. He's right. He did originally. My apologies.
Okay.
300. He is down to under 250
Yeah,
over the weekend.
yeah.
And not to barge in, but with Ian's book, ladies and gentlemen, it is a beautifully written book. It looks amazing. It's a hardcover. It's a winner.
People were coming in. I was talking to them, and one lady bought 4 of them, like for stocking stuffers for her kids. Like it's
A
just that good of a
$30
book.
hardcover coffee
Right.
table book.
Yeah.
It's almost unheard of.
Yeah.
I personally don't think he's charging enough. but
I
that's just
agree.
me.
I think he's undervaluing his work,
Right.
frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But we all know how apprehensive he was. He was worried about his investment.
Everything.
For sure. Yeah, he told us the money that he had to front, and he's like, I just want to get my money back. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you're going to get that and then some.
so also that Friday night game is the start of the 50th anniversary of the Warriors
yes.
and Colton's Stratford Hockey Club. It also, the official birthday of the arena is the 15th.
Yeah.
So that'll
Of
probably
December,
mention.
yeah.
We were teasing Hawley about Kastner coming on the podcast. So there's a nice little thing we're trying to do with the 50th anniversary of the Colton Warriors is we're trying to get the 50 top players of all time. So we
Talk about a conversation.
it is a conversation and it's going to be tough. John Kastner's been a great wealth of knowledge on
Yeah.
how we can do this with as little controversy as possible.
Like, how do we make a
Criteria.
list without Razor on it?
Well, he got his own chapter in the book.
I
so,
said
you know.
that, like there was nobody that opened up the door for the D better than me. So,
That's true.
I've got that. But,
The all-time #1 facilitator. That's Razor.
Because you can't just go by statistics because we had some
exactly.
bona fide star defensemen that played here
Yep.
that don't have the statistics.
Right.
Like Travis Hofstetter was here 5 years, 6 years.
Yep.
And he doesn't have the statistics, but what he did, the championships they won while he was here.
Right. Rob Blake.
Rob Blake
1
is-
year. Like Chris Pronger. Like, how do you fit all these guys?
Louis DeBrusque.
So John had a great analogy where he said that he was on the committee for the
IBL.
IBL.
Yep.
And he said that it was so rigid. Like, you had to have played in the Intercounty League for 5 years, I think it was. You had to be on at least one all-star team. Like, it was, you had to hit these criteria. Well, and most people don't even know him, but there was a guy by the name of Kevin Higgins who was one of the best players of all time in the league.
His number was retired by
Retired by the Hillers.
By the Hillers,
But he
yeah.
didn't qualify because he only played 4 years.
Yeah.
So John said they wanted to eliminate that sort of rigid requirement. And so, I won't steal John's thunder, but he is the guy to be able to maneuver around. Okay.
Yeah.
You've got your one-offs like the Ed Olchucks and Chris Pronger, Rob Blake, all of those guys. But then you've also got, the 5-year guys, the Walt Morrises, the Travis Hofstetters, the Jamie Hartnetts. Like, it's
Well, and I give you guys a lot of credit for going through it because I think of a guy like Rick Mullins who was here for one
Yeah.
season,
Yeah.
went down to Utica, or he was from Utica, went down to Bowling Green, but in one season he had 112 points.
yeah, Brian
So-
Smolinski.
Yep.
All
It-
these,
And then think about all the goalies.
Yep.
right? Gar Snow.
Yeah. So
Yep.
in
Jeff
Stratford,
Hill, Dan Collis.
Colton Warrior history, there is 80 or 79 players with 100 points or more.
Wow.
Mike McLeod sits at 99 points.
Oh, he doesn't qualify then.
Yep. Sorry, Reuter.
So Stratford has
Les said no. Just kidding.
Stratford has 2 players this year that will qualify with the 100 points. As Cole Lewis is now only 5 points. The more and more time I spend with Cole Lewis, the more and
Great
more I
kid.
love this kid
Yeah.
because he gets on the bus after Saturday's game, a tough loss and everything. He says, only 5 points less. I said, no. I said, you didn't get credit for anything tonight, this morning. He goes, I had an apple there. I said, no, they gave it to Nagy. Oh, man, that's crap. He goes, I want to see Chase Windsor the video. And he said, Schlitt too. Where are they?
Right.
So they've changed it now, and he's got his assist on that goal.
That's
so.
awesome.
But he does everything with a smile on his face.
Yeah.
And
The epitome of what you want your captain to be. Like,
Yeah.
He could find himself on that list
and
himself.
yeah, and then I said to him, I said, what did, because Hunter Nagy didn't take the bus down because he's going back to school or back to London. So I said, I want to talk to Nagy. I was going to ask him about not being able to bury those. He goes, oh, I already gave it to him. Just the camaraderie between these kids
Exactly.
on the team and that. So Him and Hunter Nagy will qualify eventually this year. Cole Lewis, I'm hoping he, has a little magic tomorrow, Wednesday night, and then maybe does it at home Friday night.
If he has a great year, has over 100 points, and does like a Mike McLeod, scores a huge, series, he could be on the list.
Yeah,
Like
because I've said to people, so we have 10 guys on this committee, and we have 5 guys right now that are picking from one of 5 decades.
right.
They're going to each pick 15 players. So that'll give us 75. It could be more. Some decades you're not going to get 15 players.
Yep.
Like a Steve Rice decade from 85 to 95.
Yeah, there were some lean years.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
get later in the year.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's going to be interesting
It'll be
because
fun.
we're gonna have an actual broadcast to reveal the names
we'll announce more as that.
out of the Almond Arena.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
Just
a
got to nail
huge-
down some things.
For a game in December, it's about as big as it gets this
Yeah.
Friday night.
yeah,
Yes.
looking forward to it.
Little Irish.
All right.
Little
yeah.
Irish. What a game.
Yeah.
We were joking. They were up 2-0, was it? And I'm sitting there going, boy, if they score 6, what happens if they score 12?
Well, it was 5-0 after the first.
Yeah.
4.
4-0
nothing,
after the
yeah.
first.
They scored the 6th goal 8 minutes into the second period for giving everybody pizza. For those of you who don't know, folks, at Stratford Fighting Irish home games, anytime the home team scores 6 goals, you get a free pizza from
Small
Domino's
pizza. Small.
Small 2-item.
2-item.
And
We
it's
said
not-
if it goes
It's a
up to
pizza.
7, it
You
should
get
get
a free
medium.
pizza. So
but it's not like one per family, folks. It's every person. That's the crazy thing about it. Like that's how generous Patrick at from Domino's is. Patrick Sealing, like he's just very
Well,
generous.
I went to
and-
get us drinks, and his one girl there, I can't remember. She's at every game. She's wonderful, and I apologize, I can't
Alicia?
remember her name. Alicia is her name.
Yep.
Yep.
And she goes, 1 more, and I go, yep, yep, you're darn right, lady. So
Yeah. So it was fun.
It was a great game.
Good.
nice crowd, like almost 350 on a snowy night.
terrible night.
where people are still,
When
kind of
players couldn't make the
desensitized.
team.
On a
Or
game
make
where
the
people
game.
are still desensitizing themselves to the cold winter realities.
Well, Megwood had to turn around.
Yeah.
I'm told he was coming from Kitchener, and 7 and 8 was a sheet of glass, so he turned around.
Yeah,
and-
it was a gong show there. There were cars in the ditch, 2 cars in the ditch right
Literally.
by the what's the pumpkin place there, just outside of Shakespeare.
by the
Oh,
church,
yeah.
Smelko's, Smelski's,
by
whatever
the
it is.
bridge.
Yeah.
And so, but I think the biggest takeaway was not the 8-2 win. I think the biggest takeaway was Isam Gotme.
The
my
goalie.
goodness, the goalie for Stratford.
Why did they wait so long to put this guy in net? He
So
stood on
after
his
it
head.
became, I think, 7-0,
7-0.
Galbraith got pulled, and they brought in Isam Gotme. And you just say the name on the air, and you just say to yourself, this is like...
He was about the size
Fun
of Mike
fact,
Vernon.
Fun
Small
fact,
goalie.
Evan DeBrouwer is widely considered to be the best goaltender in the Ontario Super Hockey League. Plays for Strathroy, played Friday night in Elora, did not make the trip to Stratford. So Isam Gotme is their 3rd-string goaltender. And I happen to say on air, keep in mind that there are a ton of great goalies in this league. So being a 3rd stringer, I mean, Alvinson's carrying 4.
Well, to give you an example of the performance that he gave, we yelled down to him, great game, goalie, and gave him a round of applause, and he gave us a wink. Because we were being honest. It should have been 12.
Yeah.
That
There-
save he made in the
That
made
third
a
Olay
save.
save he
Oh,
made
man.
I watched, and the whole crowd behind the net were standing.
Yes.
They gave him a standing
Yep,
ovation.
we did, yeah.
How many
That was
times
us.
do you
Deserved
see
it,
a
yeah.
standing ovation for the visiting team's goaltender?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was right in front of the Chirpers zone, and he's in the butterfly, and the Stratford player had all upstairs, glove side. He goes to roof it, and Esau just does an Olay and scoops it out of the air, and
Yeah.
we're all standing there and gave him, we were already
Yep.
standing, but we gave him an ovation.
Yeah.
But that was like 2 or 3 of them. Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
made 2 or 3
Like I say,
Game
it should have been. It
savers.
should have been 12. Should have been
100.
12. Not
That
not
one he
12
went.
two.
That one he went post to post with the blocker too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
He
So-
made like it was a circus out there in
Yes.
that third
Yeah.
period. But I don't want him to outshine the performance by the guy at the other other
Right.
end. Tyler Fossil, making his Ontario Super Hockey League
Yep.
debut, had a shutout going until well into the third period.
Yeah, it was late into the
Tip
third
of the cap
period.
to the newcomer. He did
And
great.
you know what? How tall do you think he is?
Who?
Fossil. Did he not look like he was all? He looked like an octopus out there, but he's only
Yeah.
listed at 6 feet.
I was
don't
gonna
know.
say he's taller than
he
what
looked taller
Strathroy's goalie is, but
for me, the judge is always the back of the
back, yeah.
pants. When the pants come over the crossbar, dealing with a
Right.
guy that's over 6 foot, right? So, just one of those weird things that you pick up over the years. But he was positionally solid. I don't know what you saw, but
He squared up well, and Razor was talking.
really athletic, handled the puck well.
Absolutely.
he just is very calm, composed, and he doesn't waste a lot of movement. Like I liked how compact he was.
Tidy.
Yeah, very tidy, very
Quiet, I guess, is the word that came to
Yeah,
mind. Very quiet.
Yeah, he's
Like a
he's-
Giguère kind of quietness.
He's
you know
the
what I mean?
exact opposite of a Mike Palmatier, right?
Exactly, right?
And
And so-
he just did his job. He didn't have to make any game. He played solid though. Like
Yep.
he made good saves, but they weren't like Strathroy's goals.
Well, he made that one big save. Stratford scored twice early. They were up 2-0, and then Strathroy got a turnover and a breakaway, and he made the save on that breakaway.
Right,
And that was
right.
really, I think after that, the outcome was not much in doubt.
Right.
Having said that, I thought he was fantastic. I think he'll make a great tandem with Zach Weir.
Yeah.
Who's
yeah.
having a really good season this year as well.
Yeah, they both
And it's
are.
nice to know that even though Strathroy did not, none of their points players were there. And I made a mistake that I thought Brandon Buck was playing wearing his number 9, but that wasn't Brandon Buck. That was somebody else wearing number 9. So they showed up with 17 skaters. Because of the weather, Stratford's got 13 skaters.
Yeah.
They've got a guy making his debut. They're missing Robbins. They're missing Murray. They're missing Hall. They're missing
Magwood.
Brulot. They're missing Magwood. And they come out and they've got 13 skaters, and they blow Strathroy's
Yeah.
doors off.
The line of Pekka, Palillo, and Nash were
Wow,
on
they
fire.
have found something there.
They were on fire. Those
Is that number
had
25?
Yeah.
Yes. They
He had a
Hawley-
hat trick. Henderson had a hat trick.
Henderson had a hat trick.
Henderson
Pekka.
had a
So
hattie.
did Pekka,
Pekka
yeah.
had a
Pekka got
hattie.
the last one.
Palillo had 2 goals and assist. Nash had 3 assists. Like they were
Nasher's
on fire.
flying out there.
Oh,
man.
They had-
doesn't he look good?
He looks
Jared Nash
fantastic.
looks
They
fantastic.
had 3
He
power
looks
play
like he's
goals
21 again.
and a shorty.
Do you know another thing we saw in that game? We saw a shift from Devin Didiomidi,
Oh,
where I thought he was going to destroy the whole other team.
yes.
If you saw that when number 20 put his hand up to Didiomidi's face after the one play, that next shift, Didiomidi, he was looking.
He was
he
like
took
a
8
missile.
strides into the neutral zone, loaded up, and went in. And I go, we all just said, watch this.
Right.
He might be as intimidating as a guy.
We
And
just,
even though he has yet
ju-
to drop the gloves with anyone,
Right.
I
it
said
rem-
to Razor, I said the wire broke right there. Like,
and I just, I said, did I say it to you?
Yeah.
I said I want to see him fight, and I kind of don't want to see him
Right.
fight.
Well,
At
he
the
almost
same time,
did late in the third.
But you got to hold that guy in the third. I thought he was going to kill him.
He
But he
grabbed that guy right out in front of the Strathroy net,
Yes.
and he started to ragdoll him. And the guy went from aggressive to, oh shit, what do I do now?
well, then he gave him 2 just for good
Well,
sport.
because he didn't even take
Uppercuts.
his gloves off.
Yeah.
That's
and he did
what
him a favor.
He did.
and left his gloves on, because
But-
if the gloves came off,
Oh my God.
we might
We
still
just
be
saw
scraping
2
him off
uppercuts
of
from
this.
Deeds, and I
Like-
go, oh,
Because
dear.
I
You could
got-
just see the flip,
Yeah.
right? It's
And
I
it's-
just
skating
like-
around, and then all of a sudden, boom!
Yes.
It's like, uh-oh.
I was talking to him in a preseason practice, and he's jacked,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
But he doesn't just bring that jacked. There's something about him that is so intimidating.
well, it got him through 15 years of pro hockey.
Exactly.
Yes.
The one where it really came home was after last week's game, when Elora, to their
Yeah.
credit, they won 2-0, but they acted like a bunch of goddamn donkeys after
Yes.
the game,
Yes.
delaying this important auction that we're trying to get going, raising money for the homeless.
Right.
And Matt Petrie's yelling at him to no effect. Jamie Petrie's now on the ice yelling at them to no effect. And very calmly, Devin Didiomedes skates over, leans on the bench, and said something to the effect, now I can't quote him, but something to the effect of, everyone who wants to have a problem with me should stick around. Everybody else should probably leave. And all 4 of the players and the coach turned around on a heel and walked the hell out.
Yeah.
He did the same thing Saturday night. He's sitting there playing, and he's over at the Stratford, and he's leaning on the bench and just talking to the guys. This play's going on. I'm going, oh boy.
He is going to be so valuable in the playoffs.
I would
like-
love to
like-
see him on a line with Mav Petrie and Colin Martin.
Well-
I love what Gorman brings to that line, their 4th line. But, he's not the player that he was.
Right.
But utilize the player that he is
Right.
now. And I think as a playoff player, the only problem is the points. So for those of you listening, it's a point system, and you can only dress 10 points, and he's a 2-point player. So if they've got all their points guys, Devin's a guy that, is going to
Right.
struggle to get in the lineup. Like, it's simple math. Having said that, when he's in the lineup, boy, he adds another, I hope he's in Allura Friday night.
Yeah.
Because the answer to whatever Allura was pulling at the end of the game last week
Right.
is coming Friday night, and that's my only regret being on the broadcast Friday night
Yeah.
for the Stratford St. Mary's game, is that Stratford's in Allura on Friday night starting at 8:30.
They're back here again, are they not?
On the
Allura?
21st, the
On
following
20
Saturday.
No,
on
they're
the
not here
21st,
next
yes.
week.
And so keep in mind, these 2 teams hate each other.
Yes.
They have
Yes.
played each other all 3 years of this league's existence in the playoffs. And in none of those 3 series has a team from have both teams won a game.
Yeah.
Allura swept the first round playoff series 3-0 in year 1 when
Okay.
they won the league. And then the following season, Stratford swept Allura 4-0 when they won the league.
Right.
And then last year, Allura had a rough year. I had to play the play-in game just to get into the playoffs, ran into an on-fire Stratford team. And Stratford, if you remember the game, game 1 was
Yep.
up in Allura.
Yeah.
They were down 2 goals
Yeah.
with about 90 seconds to play and tied the
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
up and
Right.
won it in overtime,
Yeah.
and then dusted them the
Yeah.
rest of the way. There was that's what spawned
Yeah.
my favorite line there. But at the end of the day, because Stratford was just taking the puck from them at will.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing. Even though Stratford's in 4th place right now, I like what they're doing.
Oh.
They've got Magwood, they've got Fossil and Net. They've just
Well, Hall is a huge
Hall
add, right?
on D.
I mean,
is
when
like
you've already
Kaka,
got
there's-
when you've already
there's
got what
huge.
people believe is already the best D core,
Yes.
with Murray and Fuller and Henderson and O'Brien, and then you add the guy who's probably the best of them all. This guy may be better than Murray.
unreal.
Yeah.
And he
Unreal.
scored that goal against Petrolia,
Yeah.
where
Oh,
he got
yeah.
the puck back at the blue line on the left point.
He told him to
and
get
he
rid of it
walked
twice.
He walked around the guy in front.
He went
walked
around-
around the guy in the slot, and then went roof daddy. And it's just everybody in the ring's going, damn.
He curl and dragged at the blue line, and I said to Jeff, I said, shoot it. No, I got to curl and drag against the second guy. So and I'm like, shoot it. And he curl and drags around him at the hash marks.
Roofs it, and he goes, okay, that'll do.
And so
Wow.
then he gets in, left-hand shot. He comes in, backhand, roof daddy. And I looked at Jeff and I said, maybe he does know what he's doing. It was
And Knowles, the
unbelievable.
goalie for Petrolia, who is one of the
Oh,
better
my
goalies
God.
in the league, had
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely
made a
no
It was
fool of
chance.
unreal.
the cast.
Unreal.
Was that Murray that took those 2 shots from the point?
No,
Saturday?
it was Henderson.
No, he didn't
Was it
play.
Henderson?
He wasn't there.
Henderson.
That
Oh,
was
it was
Henderson.
Henderson. Oh, my
Henderson
God.
is-
I thought
well,
he killed
Henderson's
the goalie.
one.
It was a missile.
Before
I thought he killed the
Murray
goalie,
showed up,
though.
it was Henderson
Hawley.
who was out on the power play with the big shot. Now, he doesn't get much power play time.
Henderson took that one shot and hit the goalie so hard it hurt me.
Yeah.
Holly, I was saying to these guys, I've noticed Henderson from the start, and I know they have too. He stands out. He doesn't skate out there. He floats around. He's so smooth,
Yeah.
calculated,
Yep.
in position. He quarterbacks the power play. That kid just plays the game in this league like he needs to be good.
And that shot is so heavy.
Oh,
yeah.
such a heavy shot.
Oh,
He
that
scored
first
the big,
goal.
he scored the big overtime goal in Game 4 against Alvinston last year, up in Alvinston. And, he's a fantastic player, and he is probably number 4 on their D core.
Crazy.
With Hall and Murray and Fuller.
I
And
like
they've
it.
still got Casey and O'Brien as
Yeah.
5 and 6.
Mitch looked good.
which leaves you. I thought that was Mitch Casey's best game of the
I
season.
agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And defensively, because he's not known, he had a reputation. He almost had, as far as I remember, he had a nickname when he was younger, the Riverboat Gambler.
Riverboat.
Yep.
Yeah.
But a year up at Laurier
Yeah.
has certainly helped his game.
Absolutely.
And not only that, but he brought the Sullivan Sparks and Tyler Fossil,
Yeah.
who were teammates with him up in Laurier.
Yeah.
Do they call him Sully or Sparky?
I don't know, but that might be the coolest hockey name. Sullivan
is,
Sparks,
it
man.
is,
I love
it
that.
is.
That's a cool hockey name.
That is a cool name.
Someday we'll have to do a top 5 cool hockey names, and that'll get on there.
Yeah.
We also want to give a shout out to the Irish. They've got a wrestling and video dance party Saturday, January 18th at the Rotary Complex. It's $30 and it includes both events. So the wrestling gets going, I believe, at 4:00.
Yeah, and it sold out last year, so get your tickets.
Yeah, and
easily sold out.
Yeah,
I was selling tickets here and they're coming up right till the end, and everybody's like, oh, and we sold out really early. So
yeah. So Ric Flair, Junkyard Dog, they're all there.
oh, easy now.
But
It's Hammerlock Wrestling, and they
Hammerlock
were the
Wrestling.
company that came before. They're the ones that you see at Job Site Brewery. They've got a fantastic circuit going on. They're going to have a 15-person battle royal, believe it or
Yes.
not.
Yes.
So it's a real deal.
It is.
right?
It's going to be fun, folks.
And if you've ever been to a wrestling show, it's cool. But I'm not the biggest wrestling fan, but being there and you can feel the guys getting thrown around
Right.
or whatever. It's very cool. But in this venue, you're not up back in the day when I
Right.
saw Big John Studd and Andre the Giant in a cage match from the top of Maple Leaf Gardens. You're right there
Right.
in the action. You're
Yeah.
sitting right beside the
And
mat.
they move into the crowd.
Oh,
they
they
do all
interact
that
and
stuff,
everything.
right?
It's fantastic.
And
really good.
the
It is
fact that these-
entertaining.
the
It's
fact
fun.
that-
If you go there
Yeah.
saying, I'm going to have fun,
yeah.
you might even have some by accident.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so $30 includes both of them. 4:00 with the Hammerlock Wrestling. Then they got the video dance party. So it's going to be
Perfect.
good. It's going to be a good time.
Middle of January, dead of winter in Stratford.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's looking for something to do after you've had the New Year's hangover. It gives you almost 3 weeks to recover and then come out to the Rotary Complex and have a couple of Millie lights, and you got a bunch of entertainment there. So,
Truly.
yes.
All
I
righty.
think that's a wrap.
I think that's a wrap. It's okay not to be okay. Just start the conversation, folks.
Thank you so much for listening. All of our followers, all of our listeners, thank you so much for your support. We appreciate it on the week, every week. Please tune in to our social media channels at Facebook or Instagram. We would love a follow, a like, spread the word. We're keep in tune with trying to build the brand, and we'll ask you to help us along the way. So thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for coming out again, Brian.
Peace.
Wayward mind, lovesick blind. Why do I climb these heights for you? Twisted mule always gets mine.